Hey there, it's Tricia, and I want to go over the trades for Thursday, July 16th. We used two setups with indicators on three charts for confirmation before ever getting into a trade. We do have a third setup that we've been using for a couple months for range trades for days where we're not in any particular direction. So that's what I'm going to go over today. And if you'd like to check those out, www.easyemintrade.com. You can see by looking at the longer tick chart that we don't have any real direction. We're just, coming up to a resistance area, support, resistance, support, and it is getting smaller and smaller, that area. However, if you can establish a resistance area and a support area, then you can take for example, here we took a short at 1051 at 927.75. And that was at this area here. When we got up to a resistance area, we actually had our midpoint there from our floor pivots and started to roll over based on our indicators here. We have divergence going to the downside on our indicator here while price is moving higher, which typically means price will follow. So that's what we were anticipating. We did know that the close from the previous day was right below us and didn't know how quickly we would get through that. So we did have to sit through a little sideways before we finally did drop lower. But we did get +1 on a third and +2 on 2/3, so that worked out okay. Now, typically when we're trading, we always are taking our trades based on which side of the moving averages we're on. So if we're above them, we're taking longs. If we're below them, we're taking shorts. And that's off of using the squeeze. That's not the case for trendline breaks. But on a day like on a morning like this, you can't really do that. So like I said, you can go ahead and use the range trade setup, which you guys should have. That got the ebook that was sent out a couple months ago, so worked out okay. Now, usually when you see a pattern like this, basically a pendant pattern, obviously eventually you're going to break out on one side or the other because you're getting a smaller and smaller and smaller range. And usually what happens is you break out in the direction that the previous move came from, which would be from Wednesday, which was higher. Now, of course, we don't know that. So we did get a trend line break here, but I was not willing to take that until I was convinced that we can get above these areas here that we previously could not get above. So I thought, well, once we break out through above that area, then I'll go ahead and look for a squeeze long on either of my 200 or 512 tick chart. And that's exactly what I did. Now, I couldn't take this here because my indicator was not in line here to take this one here. When this one fired off, we were very close to the high from Wednesday, so I wanted to wait for an entry that would occur actually above the high from Wednesday before I got on. So at 226 actually had a squeeze firing off on our 512 tick, and entry was 934, and that would have worked out for +1, +2, +3 up to the high of this area. It never got to +4. I think it would have gotten to 3 3/4. Or if you were trail stopping using a trail stop method using pivots, you would have been probably moved your stop under this area here and got stopped out here for +1.5 on that final third. So it just depends on how you were managing it. Could have also gotten in on the 200 tick chart as well. Would have been exactly the same entry price, so it was totally up to you which way you would have wanted to enter that trade. You could have also gotten in, and this entry here you could have taken here or here. If you entered in off the 200 tick chart, you wouldn't even gotten a point. You would have gotten 3/4 of a point and then been stopped out or flattened and canceled. On this chart here on our 512, exact same entry price and so on and so forth, and then you would have been stopped out at 2, a 2-point loss. So that's actually what I wound up with on that particular trade. So those are the trades for the 16th, and I hope that helps, and you can check out the setups at www.easyemintrade.com.